Hello, welcome everybody. I'm here with some second-year scholars from the Institute for Women's Leadership, and we're going to talk about their social action projects, which they just completed last fall semester. So if everyone wants to go around and introduce themselves, maybe like your major, your year, and then we'll get into our social action projects. So,
Hi guys, my name is Sheaa. I'm studying political science and mathematics with a minor in women and gender studies, and my second year project was titled The Women Who Run Rutgers, and so it was a social action project focused on gender inequities within working spaces for specifically women of color and women who might not be able to advocate for themselves.
Hi, I'm Maria. I'm an English major, creative writing minor. My social action project was Finding Reality in Fantasy, and it was a project that promoted empathy through storytelling.
Hi everyone, my name is Cassie Vega. I'm majoring in political science and minoring in Latino and Caribbean studies, and my social action project was called Ambition Trailblazers on Campus, and it was focused on women and gender minorities of color on campus who assume different leadership roles, focused on social change and activism.
Hello everyone, my name is Chantel Amissah. I'm a political science major and a theater minor. My social action project was titled Breaking Barriers for Ghanaian Girls in the Informal Sector of Work, and it just really centered around finding ways to commit to educating young girls in Ghana.
all right, thank you guys for that. And, your social action projects seem very interesting and very involved. So one of my first questions is, how did you go about conceiving your social action project and finding these issues that you care about so deeply and kind of making it into an actionable product?
I feel like I can start with this question. So I originally came to the Institute for Women's Leadership with a completely different idea that I wanted to do. But one day I was picking up a package at one of the campus mail centers, and because of my RUID, it's all zeros except for one digit. All the zeros got dropped, and so my package got sent back somewhere, and then it was like a week and I still hadn't gotten it, even though it came to university. And I was talking to the woman working, and I learned that there was a lot of gender-based conversations going on where she was the only woman working in the facility. And she had ideas, but because of her age, she wasn't been taking seriously. So I was like, this is something that impacts probably not just her on campus, and something I don't think people are doing intentionally, but is something I want to bring awareness to. And so that's how I conceived the notion of talking to women working specifically at the university and seeing how we can better improve their experiences.
I didn't know you had a different project to start with.
Yeah, when I came in, I wanted to go to middle schools and high schools and do civic engagement for girls in schools because I didn't really know how to participate. But then I kind of changed routes when I was like, this matters more to me. This is actually something I feel really passionate about. And because you see these women working, when you call maintenance services, they're the ones who come and fix your things. And so there's such active parts of our life, but you don't really get to see them that often. They are such an integral part of the Rutgers community. So I wanted to highlight their voices.
I sort of got my idea. I've always just been a creative writer, and sort of this project really opened up a space and time to really give me the resources to write. And empathy is something that I've always really found important for a community to be united and really getting along. So it sort of just naturally, it was what I had planned on doing for a long time, and it just fit into the fact that I needed to do something for my social action project.
It's completely understandable.
Very
was
convenient.
Brilliant. I love
Oh
that
my
idea.
God,
I really do. I love the
thank
idea of starting from when people are young, and not necessarily I don't know, inspiring them to be really engaged people. And we talk a lot about differences we have now, and it's just really nice to see that differences we have and not being able to solve it. And if you start when people are younger, you can really raise them to be accepting people and inclusive people. So I really love your project for what it is.
Thank you.
I want to read it sometime. Send it to me.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen it.
Thank you. Yeah, I just think it's the best way to sort of think about the serious issues is to do it in a way that people can enjoy them, right?
Yeah.
That makes them more open to really considering it later down the line.
I definitely agree. And it was such a unique way of going about the project too. When everyone was presenting it and you to do it, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing that we could do, and I thought that was amazing. And I think it's going to be really inspirational to other scholars in the future.
And you have to share so much of your culture while you're doing it. There's so much parts like Chinese culture that I didn't know until you were very intentional with how you explained it and then incorporated into your story. It was powerful. Like, I know it was just a chapter, but I remember sitting there being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, I'm honored. Thank you.
For my project, I guess I was inspired because anyone who knows me, I'm a big fan of like sticking to your community, like stick with what you know. I think oftentimes when we try to venture out, even with like the best intentions, oftentimes you can overshadow the people who are already doing work. And then you get into this issue of like, are you giving people a voice or are you speaking over them, right? So that's why I'm a big fan of sticking to what you know. So that's why I had wanted to focus on a community that I was familiar with, which was Rutgers. But then I also wanted to go deeper into, representation. So I wanted to talk to women and gender minorities, specifically of color, because oftentimes representation is not really included for them, or it's done in like a tokenized way. And there's already, so many students of color who have worked incredibly hard to like build organizations up on their own, or have taken it over and taken it in a completely new direction. So I wanted to highlight what was already there. And I really enjoyed doing it. I was able to meet so many people, and I've able to, I'm friends now with a lot of the people that I had spoken to. So it was a really great experience. And also like, I feel like it helped them. Like they were able to get new organization members, and they were able to put it on their resumes, right, that they were featured in the social action project. And I feel like that's kind of what the IWL like should be about, right? It's about like uplifting other people.
For my project, I first I didn't know what I wanted to. I had a lot of ideas running through my head. I wanted to do like school zoning in urban areas, and then I thought about it, and kind of going back to stick to what you know. I thought about things that an issue that I've been thinking about for like the longest. And I remember I lived in Ghana for a time, like during my childhood, and I saw like a lot of the young girls, would spend time in the market with their mothers, or just honestly as young as six years old in the street selling food. And I always wondered, like, why did I don't know, why was my life so drastically different from them? Why did I have the privilege of having a formal education? And how come they weren't in school at those times? And I just always thought like something needs to change, and like our culture kind of needs to change in a way to cater to these young girls. So this way their trajectory isn't only one thing, and I don't know, choices matter, having options in life really, really matters. And I think it affects one's quality of life. And so for my social action project, I wanted to talk about what I know. I want to talk about my community, and also just honestly, girls have always just been a passion for me. Young girls, women have always just been a passion for me. So I really just wanted to kind of not only merge my education with my background, but also just create a space for us to be able to even talk about it, because I don't think it's something that people are talking about enough, or at least in specific to Ghana, people that I know are really talking about it. So I thought I'd bring a little bit of myself to my project.
And I remember you said like you really learned a lot about that community too doing it. Like the thing about like entrepreneurship that your advisor said, and like that's not something you considered before. Right?
Yeah, I had to check myself, because I was thinking, well, this is kind of going on that whole thing, find an issue and try to find, resolutions to it. But I never considered that sometimes it's also just not an issue. It's a great way of living. And I was talking to one of the professors here at Rutgers, and she was telling me that like for most of the time, a lot of these positions that these women are in are kind of give them agency over their own lives, in the way they're exercising entrepreneurship and trading and having a lot of power over their lives in ways that they wouldn't have otherwise. And so like, I guess taking away that would not necessarily solve a problem, just create a bigger one. And so I think for me, what ended up being the be all of my project was just options, being able to have options, less so than just trying to end this problem specifically. Yeah.
I think something I respect about both of your projects is the emphasis on choice and like autonomy over your decision-making process and how you portray yourself in community spaces. Like one of the biggest takeaways I think of Institute for Women's Leadership and what we've learned over time is understanding that it's not just about your experience, it's about like how are you leading the community and that like nurtured you and raised you.
Definitely.
It's funny that you bring that up, because my next question was going to be about how, since, you guys are talking about how you've taken these personal issues and, you put your own spin on it, or you're just like further immerse yourself in your community. And so I was wondering, how is the social action project and the opportunity that the Institute for Women's Leadership, that institute has afforded you, how is that different from anything that you've done at Rutgers thus far?
It created this space where that sort of, you could really dedicate yourself to like a social justice issue. Like when I decided to join the IWL, it was because like with my major, like English, things will come up, but you'll never be able to focus on it. And the IWL, you're in with like a cohort of sort of similar-minded people who really care and they really want to make a difference. And you won't find that space like unless you really look for it, and that's not something that comes easily, honestly, at something like a place as big as Rutgers, like, and all the majors are different. This really like gives you a chance to like think about women's leadership and how that can carry like throughout everything you're doing.
I think having the gumption to make change is not something everybody carries necessarily, or not everybody recognizes that they carry, but it's something that the women's leadership really emphasizes. I think one of my favorite parts of the whole program was, so I based my project on women complaining, because it's not women complaining. It's like, yes, they're talking about something that's happening in their lives, but if you just look past what they're saying, there's deeper levels of like, why is this even a thing? Because ultimately there are other identities that might not be going through the same issue. And my favorite part was when we were going through the SAP seminar, we would all come in, or even the first seminar, we would come in and talk about things that are happening in our own lives and talk to each other about them, find comfort, and be like, this is actually an issue. This isn't normal. This doesn't have to be normal. This is something we can all work towards in our campus communities. So I feel like the space that it provided not only let us like learn about women's leadership, but actively apply it to inequities in our own lives and making sure the spaces that we occupy, we leave with a more feminist perspective.
Yeah, I would say similarly. I think my favorite part was probably the cohort, just like the women I was with. And I think she and I are like in every possible Rutgers program together. Like the Gardner Fellowship, right? It's a similar like structure, but it's 1 year and we have a stipend and we do like a research project, which is very different now that I'm doing it. Very different than a social action project. And my experience at IWL actually had led me to help create the Racial Justice Fellowship, which like I kind of structured in similar ways to the way that the SAP with the IWL is structured. And I think like the biggest thing that the IWL gave me, I think, was like all of you guys. No, not in a corny way, but no, like I learned I really learned so much from every single person in the class, and I feel like I've become a better feminist and a better person because of the people that I met there.
And you created your own fellowship?
Yeah, did I tell you guys about that?
What?
No, so I have a job at the Institute for the Study of Global Racial Justice, and I worked with Dr. Carlos de Sena, and then this whole past summer, I was working to create the Fellows in Racial Justice Learning Community, and we just started. So we admitted our first 12 fellows in October, and I'm like running that, and then the Student Advisory Board. So we actually have a Racial Justice Summit coming up this spring, so...
Let us know. Can we attend that?
Yeah, I'm sending out the registration form soon, so...
That's a great accomplishment. Tough act to follow. For me, like, the reason why I wanted to do education and on young girls and stuff like that, I think it's a really, like, I want to take a holistic approach because it's just not even more than education. There's so many factors to the issue that goes into it, like being able to get transportation, school fees, safety, so many issues surrounding, our culture and gender norms and so on and so forth. So I kind of wanted to tackle this. I wanted to have this project because I think it just doesn't talk about one thing. It talks about our world, and it talks about a lot of the themes that we pick up a lot in society. And I think that's always something that we can be improving upon, and that's why. But also, I haven't been able to do anything like that here at Rutgers. I'm a political science major and I'm an IWL, but for most of the time, you're really learning about what the curriculum. You're really just taking information about the curriculum and what your professor wants you to learn, and not so much integrating your own sense of self into it. And I kind of wanted a chance to really shape my education how I wanted to. Not that I wasn't satisfied with the content that I was learning, but I wanted to have a flavor, a little spice to it. So I don't know, it was just really fulfilling to be able to, bring that side, and also to just even learn more. I went into it, again, thinking one way, but then I learned so much more about the research that goes behind it, about the statistics that I did not know before that, and also just kind of changed my mindset on the whole thing. So I don't know, it was just very fulfilling to be able to, integrate both worlds.
And with education, I feel like I know you went into the Douglas classes and then taught your curriculum to the Knowledge of Power.
Right. That was really fun. That was really exciting. I've always wanted to do something like that, and also it was really, really gratifying because a lot of some people were Ghanaian, and so they came in and kind of shared like anecdotes about their mothers, about themselves, and about, you know, just issues that they felt like they dealt with in Ghana, or with education, or just how hard it is. I remember one girl was talking about her mother specifically, and she was saying how her mom had to take so many trips just to get to school, and, you know, she had to then stay with her sister, and then she had to walk to school. Like, again, in rural areas, they're not accessible because they just don't have them, whereas it's usually in the cities. And so it was nice to not only like see my project really come off the paper and just see how it affects real people, and how, I don't know, not representation, but like talking about these things matter, because hopefully it can change lives.
For sure. Chantel, you kind of brought up my next topic, which was you guys are just like, you're already like, you were speaking about how you kind of went in your project thinking one thing, but then you came out another. So I wanted to know, were there kind of what unexpected learning did you guys experience? And then on top of that, any unexpected challenges that you had while going through this whole process?
I had a lot. the day of, and I've told you guys this, but the day of the talk, I was doing it on Zoom. My laptop died. My screen was cracked. Like, I think for anything, the biggest lesson and I guess unexpected thing was I didn't expect things to break down, you know, midway through my talk, but definitely adaptability and being able to think on your feet has been the name of the game. And a lot of people you guys mentioned a lot when we talked about this, but just being able to be adaptable, being able to think on your feet, being able to come up with solutions right then and there, you know, and also really rely on your network is one thing that I feel like stuck with me as I kept on going with the project.
No, I definitely feel that when being adaptable, in the sense that I had this grand idea for my project originally. Like, I was gonna create like a magazine, and I had like 3 issues I was somehow gonna do in the fall semester, and I was like, it's gonna be this and this, and I'm gonna get my friends from the UK to submit their own like submissions about what they think about these issues. That did not happen. That did not happen even remotely. And then one of the really big challenges not only was, you know, scaling down the project to something that was realistic, because you really only have the fall semester to execute it. Like, technically you have the summer, but I don't know about the rest of you, but I was working. I had an internship. Like, I didn't have time to work on it. But the other thing was working around other people's schedules, because my project really relied on others. It wasn't just me. So when I was reaching out to other people, like, I had to reschedule the interview with the Muslim Feminist for the Arts co-presidents like 3 times. And it was just like, it was chaotic. Every time I was like, oh, I'm free this day. And they were like, I'm free this day. And then I was like, I actually can't make it. Like, my bus literally had broken down that day, and I was like, she was like, oh, it's okay, we'll do next week. And then one of them got sick, and I was like, okay, we'll do next week. It was a lot, but I'm very grateful that I went through that process, and I feel like I've definitely been better for it, because now that I'm working with so many different people in my job, I definitely know how to work around other people's schedules and have like backup plans. Like, having a plan B is not enough. You need plans A through Z. Like, I need to be prepared. So that definitely, while it was a challenge, it was a benefit.
I think it was really about like managing your expectations, like similar to what you guys said. Like, we really thought big, and a lot of our plans changed. I intended my project at first to be a series of short stories that I would complete by the end of the semester. It didn't happen. And a lot of the time too, I just felt like I wasn't writing enough, because everything's done on your own time. I felt like I was putting it off too much. I was like, writing should be simple. Like, why don't I have enough to show for by the end? But like, when we presented, everyone was so like encouraging of everyone's projects. Like, you did amazing. Like, I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have done what you did. And so I think, just like managing your expectations for what you want your project to come out as, like what you think you'll be able to achieve, and like being proud of what you have done and will do.
Yeah,
was a great lesson.
I feel like my biggest challenge is, so I was fortunate that I really liked my advisor and I had a really good relationship with her, and we had this perfect timeline set up, but of course nothing goes perfectly ever. I got really sick during the semester, and so I had to really adapt like how much I could handle, like what I was able to do with like missing so much school. I think it was like the true token of feminist leadership was how understanding our professors were and how I was able to adapt my project. I went in wanting to do like this big interview series, and like I had started my IRB process, and then couldn't really go through with that and had to adapt and figure out like, okay, if I can't interview women, how else can I still impact them on a kind of now a time crunch, because I didn't come back to school like till mid-November, and understanding, okay, you can still impact a community without necessarily like sticking to this like perfect timeline per se. And so instead I was like, okay, let me look at what's going on like around the nation, just like Big Ten. We're so involved in the Big Ten group. And so yeah, I think a big challenge was just like Chantal said, like adaptation, thinking on your feet, readjusting to the world, because nothing in the world is going to be this perfect timeline. But also I think a big lesson was believing in yourself, because there's just, you have to trust yourself in order to get this project done, because truthfully, it's not like a regular research project where you have this paper to justify everything you did. It's, you're impacting community and you're impacting a lot of people, and you have to leave knowing that somebody's better off because you helped, and you're not trying to fix a problem. You're trying to either bring awareness or just alleviate to some degree, because true feminist leadership is understanding you listen first and like you're here to transform lives, not you're not this like a being who's going to fix everything. That's not what the world is like. And so understanding like believing in yourself, believing in each other, and like really like embracing this woman sisterhood aspect of just supporting each other, I think was my biggest lesson.
So I'm hearing the central theme of adaptability. You know, Maria, you wanted to finish your short stories. Cassie, you wanted to do the magazine's 3 issues. So how did this sort of process redefine success for you guys, and how you experienced failure?
For me, I don't know, part of it was really just like, I said it before, but like stepping into your power. I think that redefined my idea of success. I think for like, I had big ideas from project. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk to these people, and it's going to be like this. And then you have competing priorities during the semester, and so you have to be able to compartmentalize and it, like you said, manage expectations. And so it made me realize, you know how they say a win is a win? A win was a win for me. I'm like, if I was able to meet my deadline by the end of the week and have all the information I needed to for my meeting with my advisor, that was a win. You know what I mean? And it's not, I don't know, I think it's not as simple as though you failed or you've done it or not. I think it's a continuing process. And also you can do it outside of Rutgers. You can do it outside of the school. You can do it outside of the program. And so I think believing in myself was the biggest success, and being able to kind of step into my role as a leader to be able to facilitate, you know, talks and be able to like manage a project at this level.
I agree. I think the big thing is just you're fighting a lot of stereotypes and like societal conditionings of like what success is. And at the beginning, like my version of success was like 3 magazine issues. It needs to be better than any project anybody's ever done before. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, it was just like, success is, am I happy with what I put out? Like, did I feel like I did enough? And I did. And I was like, you know what, this is a win. A win is a win, because if you keep harping up on the failures again, like you had just said, there's so many different competing things during the semester. This is not your only priority. You have this, and then you're taking a class in conjunction with that, and then you have all your other classes, and then you have a job, and then you want to maintain some semblance of a social life. Like there's a lot going on. So it was just, am I happy with what I put out? And then I did the little PowerPoint presentation I presented at the end. I was like, you know what? I am happy with what I put out. This is success. End of story.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think throughout the semester, when you're doing your social action project, it was so easy to get stuck in that, like, I'm doing it for a grade mindset, and like I need to make sure I meet all the deadlines so that I can still like, I'm doing well in the teacher's eyes, that kind of thing. And a lot of the times when we were sharing and talking about our projects, I didn't want to bring up any problems, because I didn't want to be like, I'm not succeeding right now. Like I didn't get any writing done this week or that kind of thing, because like you're really stuck in that, like Cassie said, like this is the kind of success that you want. And I think by the end, I really like the redefinition was that success is what you make of it. And if you didn't achieve your idea of success, it's okay, because you still succeeded in other people's eyes, like you succeeded, or like you succeeded in ways you weren't aware of before. And I think it's just not getting too stuck on your one like tunnel vision of like what being done is.
I think all of us can agree when we were in high school, we were the ones who stayed super late all the time and were involved in everything and wanted to be like these idealized perfect women. And then learning to move away from that and be understanding like being a woman is not like trying to attain this identity or whatever. So coming to my social action project, for me, success was really being able to communicate how I was feeling and understanding that where I'm at right now and communicating that is not a flaw by any means. It's an integral part to any sort of project, because doing this project, I was constantly aware of things that I didn't like happening, and success to me was ultimately, did I bring awareness to the issue that I came in wanting to alleviate or fix? And two, is somebody better off because of it? And the answers to both was yes. And so for me, success was very much now is a sense of pride in not only what I'm doing, but the bigger picture. I want to go work in government the rest of my life and be a public servant. Listen, I'm going to be having people yell at me on the phone the rest of my life. And I'm kind of okay with that now, because success is really, especially in this field, you're here to impact lives, and you're here because you've experienced something or you have a skill set and you have honed it in order to work in this field. And so coming out of the social action project, I'm way more sure of myself. I'm very grounded in walking into a room and feeling very confident and knowing this is what I'm going in with my attention for. Also, side note, we like learned negotiation as like a big part of our like curriculum, understanding how to talk in a workplace. And then I really use that skill set throughout my project going through it. And so I think those are my successes. Was I came out being a stronger leader and stronger woman. Like that is now my view of a perfect woman. It's not somebody who's there for everybody, like trying to make sure everybody feels cared for. It's, am I leaving this with a skill set that I didn't have before I came to college?
Yeah, I just want to say what you had said about negotiation just reminded me, like during the classes when we had that whole conversation about email etiquette, like that was so funny, but also like so helpful. Like every email now, action needed, all caps, like colon, like literally like answer me. This is ridiculous. And I do feel like having those kinds of spaces has been helpful. It's been practical. And yeah, I agree. Like being the perfect woman isn't, the stereotypical understanding of a woman. It's just like, are you happy with yourself? Do you feel comfortable in who you are? And it's a long journey. It's like a really long journey, as we've all kind of talked about. And I still don't always feel that way, but I feel like it's a journey, right? And I think if, more people are able to understand that, then we also did our job.
That's so inspiring. Yeah, because I mean, I'm a first year scholar, so I'm going into this, trying to figure out my social action project. So you guys have already given so many tidbits of amazing advice, but is there anything that we maybe haven't touched on that you wish you knew before you started your social action project?
I think, it's really technical, but you have less time than you think you have, right? Mm-hmm. That's really the biggest thing. But also just like trusting the support systems that you have, like your cohort. I think like our responses earlier, I think we all redefined our successes together. Like we really learned together about how to be proud of ourselves, and like it's a great community to have, to be working on a project that you care about with people who will care about it with you. So yeah, don't be scared to like ask for help, and from the staff and from your cohort.
Yeah, no, the part about time, like I was thinking that, but the problem is people did tell me that and I didn't believe them. Like my mentee was like, you don't understand, like you have no time. And I was like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. When did I have that meeting? It was like March. I was like, it's due in December. I'm fine. I have a whole year. So I did get that advice and I simply did not listen. So what I would say is listen to us. And like, I would say like time everything out, and also account for the fact that you probably are going to be busy during the summer. Cause I had a fat chunk of the work I was supposed to do happened over the summer. None of that got done. But I will say like one of the big things that I would say, if I could tell previous Cassie about the social action project is,
talk to women, talk to gender minorities who have like been through it. Like we're all under, even if they're not doing this program specifically, like we all have so many different like stressors in our lives and so many different things that we're juggling, even if it's not like academic, just like your personal and like professional lives. There's just so many things going on. People will have like tips and tricks for you that are going to be applicable to this and applicable to the rest of your life. Like I was just talking to my friends, like my friends who have been through it, my friends that have like, you know, they're working 3 jobs and they're still trying to you know, finish their classes, and they're signing up for a summer class and they're taking their GREs. Like talking to those friends like also helped me focus and helped me feel also more inspired. Like hearing what other people are doing, I'm like, I can do the social action project, you know what I mean? So I would say, yeah, talk to the people that you love, because they'll have advice and they'll know how to best support you.
I'll say it's not as scary and as intimidating as you think once you kind of get into it. I feel like I kind of approach things, I try to, because I get really riddled with anxiety, and like I'm so intimidated by something when it's like an abstract kind of concept and when it's not, you know, tangible enough for me to get started. And I think that was one thing that deterred me from reaching out to professors and reaching out to people to get started, because I was like, well, I have to have, I wasn't a part of the class at the time. And so I had to kind of start my process a little later. And so for me, I was like, well, I have to have the proposal done, and I have to have, you know, all like 20 pages of everything done so I can send it over to people and have a nice, concise email, you know, explaining what the project is. And at some point, I think towards the middle of the semester, when I realized I definitely don't have enough time and I need to get started, I was like, send an email about what, just summarizing the project, what your intentions are, and ask them. Just simply ask, you know, and if they have extra information that they need, they'll ask you for it, and you can just provide that. But I think what's crippling for me is that idea that everything has to be perfect for it to be sent out. And sometimes like it just needs to be, not to sound like, but sometimes, because I think us as overachievers, we kind of, you know, it has to be perfect and it has to be 100%, but it just needed to be something that needed to get done and sent out. And so I kind of had to let go of, you know, the things that were stopping me from being great. And so getting it out there and then reaching out to people, asking for help is a really, really big one. I think I was crippled with anxiety about that too, because I was like, well, that means that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. That means that my project is not going well. And then what is she going to think? Is she not going to think I'm a hard worker? Like, are they not going to think I'm a hard worker? But it's not. Sometimes you just need help to even get started. You need someone to also hold you accountable for the work that you're doing. And it's really hard when you have a project like you had where, you know, you're the sole accountability person almost, you know, and it's on your terms. So having someone else to be there to kind of, you know, soundboard off of, or be able to say, okay, well, this is the deadline for this, and this one let's do. Let's check in at this time. Tremendously helped me.
Personally, I think I'm fortunate now that I get to teach the first year class. And so every lesson that I wish that I would have like done in my life, when I have my one-on-one meetings with all the first year scholars and they're talking about their projects, I help them visualize it and put it in context with all the lessons I think that we learned. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that's been really fulfilling. Like a student came up to me and really wants to work on eating disorders and at Rutgers. And it was this big picture, super overwhelming. And we broke it down to, okay, how can you impact the community while preserving your intentions, but also having a concrete thing to show the work that you've done? And like kind of not necessarily just quantifying it, but being able to walk them through that process and incorporate the lessons you guys have learned, like that I have learned, has been one of the most fulfilling things I think I've done this year. And so a lesson that I wish I had taken at the time was to just trust your gut. Like I knew what I needed to do, and I was listening to a lot of voices that should have told me what to do. And so now talking to all the first year scholars, I hope, Kaitlyn, that I'm helpful.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Is really just like letting them know that they are in this program for a reason. Somebody saw something in them that brought them to this cohort. It's 15 girls. It's not, or people who identify as women for the most part. And that to be selected for this program in itself is such an accomplishment. So trust your gut and know that you are here to change the world for a better reason. And so I feel like that is the message I'm trying to convey to them this year, and like integrate into all parts of their curriculum now that I'm teaching that part of the class. So I think I'm fortunate not only to have you guys as like my cohort to like listen to, and the fact that we talk all the time even when we're not in class, but to incorporate all the lessons you guys have learned into their program. Hopefully they leave with new lessons that we didn't know.
I just wanted to real quick emphasize what Chantel said about like sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good enough. And this idea of like good enough has been so helpful for me. I think it's something that you learn in college also. Like sometimes you have too much to do and you have an essay due at midnight and it is 8 p.m. and you're like halfway through and it's like 11:40 and you're freaking out and it's, you know what? good enough. Sometimes you just have to like let it be. And, you know, it doesn't make you any less of a good student, doesn't make you any less of a person. And I think that's like so important. Like take that and run with it like for the rest of your life. Like sometimes things are just like they're good enough, and that's not bad. Good is good. Like good is good for a reason, right? Good doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I think that's something that, like, again, Sheaa brought up the trauma of high school. Like you had to be perfect all the time, because you were fighting all these different things, and you know, you don't have to be perfect, because there is no such thing. Like you will chase perfection forever. It's like Icarus, right? So just good enough. It's so freeing.
And only you know what exists in your head. Nobody else can see that. And so what you put out to the world is all anybody else will ever know, unless, I mean, if you're talking to them. But what you are able to put on paper, put into PowerPoint, whatever it might be, that is all people know. So this like perfection, it's more of like that's an obstacle for you to get over in your own head, because at the end of the day, unless you put it out somewhere, nobody's going to know all the pressure you're putting on yourself. So I think a big lesson was like to forgive ourselves and just know that good enough isn't even like, it's not just like, oh, it's a C. No, good enough is this was my idea. This is what I was able to put out. Was it this great mountain volcano? No, but it's still something, and that something is still going to change lives.
Yep.
I think people have to start working, and I think Sasha even advised us for this, like start small and work your way up. I think people, like, you start here and then you try, and then before you know it, you're kind of having to manage your expectations and kind of dwindle it down. But if you start small and it's manageable enough, you can always just add to it. And I think that's my biggest advice. Like start somewhere where you can, you know, where it's easy enough, or it's like it's doable for you to kind of, you know, start and then move on from there. Like start it good enough, and then if you want to reach perfection, you want to reach, you know, stellar, then go, all the synonyms, then go ahead, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's just, it's crippling. At least, I don't know, for me, it's like a never ending thing of you're always chasing perfection. And
No, I 100% feel that. So I will definitely like internalize everything that you said, and I'll remind myself like when I'm in the thick of it next semester, and I'll be like,
start somewhere.
I'll be like, good is enough.
Yes.
Yes. I think you guys all mentioned it, but Sheaa was mainly talking about the importance of this cohort. You know, the IWL is so, I think, unique in that way, where it's 15 people. You guys are with each other for 4 semesters and you're doing the same thing. So I wanted to know if you guys can talk about your experience of just having that support of your cohort, IWL, and also this feminist framework that is constantly evolving, because like you said, like leadership, your idea of success and leadership has changed, you know, as you actually have this experience.
I was gonna say, can I just start off by saying I'm in awe all the time with you guys. Like starting from the beginning, I was so intimidated. I remember the first meeting we had on Zoom. I was like, oh my God, they're all gonna have. I remember you came out the first day and you're like, I want to be president, and that's the first. It still lingers in my ears from time to time. But it was like she came out with a strong, bold. Not that you're not now, but like definitely, it's just expanded upon. But like you came out and you're like, I want to be president. I was so in awe of you guys, and I think that was already leadership. Just having just that belief in ourselves to even be in that space alone. Mm-hmm. And it inspired me so much, and made me want to be better. It made me want to work harder. It made me want to, you know, just like, I guess, rise above, you know, and not just be complacent and not just, you know, phone it in. Not that I do that, but like, I don't know, I think having people who kind of always challenge you is definitely something that's needed. And I think this program has definitely done that for me, especially like my cohort specifically definitely have. And again, like you guys had mentioned the projects that you're doing and the programs that you guys are in and stuff like that. And I was just like, they're amazing. They're a really amazing group of women. And I think that was leadership in its own. I think it does not, like, I don't know, leadership doesn't have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to be like this well thought out thing. It could just be like the small things that you're doing that kind of amount to something really big. Mm-hmm. And we're all doing that in our lives in our own way. And I think that's brilliant.
I completely agree. I think the cohort was definitely the best part of the program for me, and every single person in it is like very important to me, professionally, but also just like personally. I've come up with a lot of really great friends. We're in like everything together. And I've learned so much from everyone. I've learned so much about their perspectives, and it's really rare that you get to have so many women with this mindset, with so many different perspectives as well, that you can just like sit down and talk to for an hour 20, 3 hours. Like you don't really get that opportunity. And I think being able to hold this space and learn so much from everybody was like the best thing I could have taken from this program. And one of my favorite things that I will take from Rutgers is like meeting all of these women. And yeah, I mean, I know you're all going to do really amazing things, and I look forward to commenting on your LinkedIn posts in the future and being like, congratulations, this is so amazing. But no, really, there's nothing like it. Like there really is nothing like the bond that you guys form during the 2 years. And I'm really going to miss everybody because everyone is older than me. So you guys are going to be graduating, and I'm going to be sobbing, and I'm going to be here for another year, and I'm going to walk past the Ruth Adams building with tears in my eyes because I miss you guys. So
You'll still have me.
I'll still have you, Sheaa. You're stuck with me.
Yeah, I know. But I also agree. I think the cohort, it is my favorite group of people genuinely at Rutgers because we're all very different majors. I feel like some of us are political science majors and we're in spaces where we get to talk about world equities a lot, but never to the degree that we talk about at the IWL and how just truthfully raw and vulnerable we are with each other. That takes a really big degree of trust and understanding between all of us. And I think our cohort is just the best group of women I've ever met. Like, I've made I've made forever friends. Like, I reach out to you guys in my personal time because I genuinely enjoy like seeing you. I wouldn't drive Cassie everywhere if I didn't fully enjoy like having her in my presence. But you guys, the cohort itself is just, we all have our own strengths and all of us look at each other like, you guys are amazing. And then it takes a second to realize, like, be like, how often are you ever going to get to be at a table where it's all powerful women who really, really just get it? Like I don't know. It's just like talking about you guys was like, wow. I think this cohort is going to be the women that are going to change the world. And I had joined IWL because one of my old bosses was in IWL at my first internship. And the way she spoke about it was just so, she was 25 and she was looking back on when she was in college and still spoke about it so fondly. And I understand why now, because like, I wouldn't talk about you guys forever and be like, oh, when I was in college, like these were the girls that I was with for 2 years. It's not like we went through half of college, especially post-pandemic together. Yeah. So it was, I love you guys. Like,
oh, I love you too.
Yeah, it's so special. I think like you take a class and you meet people and then you forget about them the next semester. But we have been together 2 years, and after that, like I know all of your names. Like everyone cares about each other, and I think there are a lot of fellowships where you're trying to, you're together with people for a group of time, but here there's like really no competition. We're all just trying to empower each other, and it's really like we're all like a sisterhood kind of thing. And I think that's like the most special part. Like we're more than just a cohort, like here to do our own projects. Like we're together and we're trying to make change together.
That part's so key about like empowering one another. Like so many of the programs, you're with each other, you're learning together, but you're not really there for each other. You're there for something else. And I feel in this program specifically, like you kind of have to be here for each other. Like there's just so much going on. And again, like we're so vulnerable. We talk about like very intimate things that, we go through in our lives and that people that we know have gone through in our lives. And it takes like a certain level of trust and bonding to get to that point. So yeah, I completely agree. Like the empowerment aspect, like, and that's what's really crazy. Like when they're like, oh my gosh, like when you were like, why do you remember that? Like, I don't even remember I said that, but no, because I think you're so amazing. And every time I see you, I'm like, wow, I am so blown away and impressed by you. And then hearing you say something nice about me, I'm like, you can't feel that way about me because I feel that way about you. So it's just amazing. Yeah.
I want to touch on your point about like not being each other's competition, because coming in freshman year, I totally viewed like all other women as like competition. I was like, I need to be better than them. And whoa, reality check. If I could tell freshman year Sheaa anything, it would be like, women are your supporters, not your like enemies. And I think that's like one of the biggest parts of this program is learning to view people and value them for what they are and not necessarily how that compares to you. Like there doesn't need to be competition, because at the end of the day, we need to support each other. And so,
because if we don't, who will?
Literally.
Exactly.
And if anything, it's more, like I said before, it's more of a challenge than it is a comparing. Like, I don't feel like I'm better or you're better or anything. Like, it's more of just like, I like what you're doing. I admire it, and I want to emulate that in my own life, you know?
It's so sweet how you guys talk about each other. It's so serious. Like, yeah, I just hope my cohort can emulate how you guys are. But, you know, we're in the process, right? It's a progress, yeah. I think especially us going through the social action project will definitely bond us all together. Our last question for today is, how does your social action project align with your future, if it does, if it doesn't?
I can go because it's probably the clearest for me. I started a part of a novel and I'm going to finish it like eventually, I hope, because like this year it really just gave me the space to write, to develop my writing, to make my writing better. And in the future, when I graduate and I want to do like an MFA or I just want to publish, like, I have a great starting point. I have like 30 pages of writing that I can go off of. I won't need to worry about like starting. And yeah, like, I think for anyone's project, it's just a clear way to, like, it's a start. It's a way to motivate yourself. Like, you know, you can do something, you can start something, and you'll be able to keep going even after graduation.
I think my project helped me find my niche because I had worked in food service my whole life, and then I came to do my project. I did my project on labor issues, and I never realized that this was something I really, really cared about. I always used to look at people's Wikipedia pages and be like, how did they decide that this is the one thing they want to focus on for a good portion of their lives? But I get it now. Like, I want to work in labor issues and doing groundwork and community work. I was able to go with the first year cohort to a nonprofit in New Brunswick that does advocacy for people who don't speak English fluently, and that teaches them how to advocate for themselves in the workplace. And that's really, I didn't even know this was something I cared about until I was talking to that woman and realized complaining is really just a way of advocating for yourself. And that's the change I want to see in the world. Like, I want to go work and help make the labor force and workplace more equitable, because it's something that impacts everybody, and it's something that's not talked about enough, especially women like us, like me who worked in food service, my mom who works at a daycare, makes minimum wage. Like, these are people who are in my life that are actively impacted. If that's the work I can do, I don't know. I really, really love that I did my project on labor issues, because or else I would never realize that that's something I cared about.
I mean, I just side note, I love the sparkle in your eye when you're talking about this. Like, it makes me genuinely very happy. Because I know all the aspirations that you have, and I know you're going to accomplish all of them, but it's really great for me, as like your biggest cheerleader, to see like you're very passionate about this and that you found your thing.
Don't make me cry.
I'm trying not to cry. I'm very proud of you, and I love you very much. The question. So my social action project, I feel like, was focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, in the way that I wanted to work with Rutgers students and the people that I knew. And I feel like that just kind of aligns with all the work I've done. Like, I've worked with Black Lives Matter. I've worked with congressional woman, Bonnie Watson-Coleman. I interned at her district office, and she's a really big advocate for Black women. Like, she's part of the Black Women and Girls Caucus, and I got to do work on the Crown Act with her. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I worked on the Fellows in Racial Justice Learning community here at Rutgers for students, not just at Rutgers New Brunswick, but Rutgers Newark and Camden. And, you know, it just kind of aligns with what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I also want to go into government. I also want to, you know, be a public servant. I want to represent other people, and I want them to know that whatever background they come from, whatever they're feeling like, they can come to me, and I will make sure that they are represented. So this is kind of like perfectly aligned with all of that. And that's why I called it ambition. I'm a really big fan of women with ambition.
My project, I kind of want to, I don't know, it sounds weird, but I want to go back home, weirdly, and I want to, so I did it on, you know, Breaking Barriers for Ghanaian Girls, but they're also amazing organizations that are already out there that are doing that kind of work, and I want to be able to like join that and be a part of that. Like, I don't think I'm too important to have to start my own, and kind of, I think later on down the line, when I have that knowledge and I have actually practiced it, I can do something like that. But I think for now, I really just want to be a part of those organizations, and I also want to be in Ghana more. So I think that's where, not that's where I'm headed, but like that is where I'm headed. That's what I want to do in the future. That's what I want to do in the next like 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for, you know, all the information, for sharing your experiences and for your time. And I truly think you guys will change the world. And just very inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. I love you guys so much.